And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to check out another game that I picked up at BGG-Con 2013. This time we're going to take a look at a team building game called Boca from Z-Man Games. In this game, players are going to work with randomized other players at the table in order to build a structure with which they only have some of the information, while the other player will have the rest. And they're going to try and work together as fast as possible to complete this structure in order to score points. Real quick, why don't we just take a look at what you get inside of this box and how the game plays, and at the end I'll give you my opinions of it. Here you can see Boca set up for a 5-player game. Now, this is going to be a game in which there are going to be teams, but those teams aren't decided at the beginning of the game. They're decided each round. Each player is going to have their own color. For example, the player we're looking at here is blue, and they will get 1 token from each of the other players in the game. You're going to flip these tokens over, and you're going to randomize them. And then when it's your turn to flip over a token, you'll flip one over, and that will determine what player you're playing with for that turn, and you're going to want to cooperate with them. So the first round would be green and blue. Now, the objective of this game is that you're trying to solve a puzzle in 3-dimensional space by placing these blocks out into the center area. However, you will only have half of the information available. You're going to look at this card and you're going to see the puzzle from one perspective. Essentially, one player will be sitting on the side closer to my camera here. The other player will be sitting on the side closer to me. And when you slide this card in here, you can only see half of the puzzle. So you're looking at this from the side. So we would see here that this player is going to have this here, and they know that the white is right here. They can see that the green is standing up next to that like this, but they don't know where the rest of these pieces go, and they have to place all of them. So the other player, of course, is going to be helping them out. They can see a different side of the puzzle that looks like this. All right, now we're looking at the top here. There's a different puzzle on the bottom that would be flipped over if you were deciding to play that side. But they see this. So now that I'm looking at this over here, I can see that the orange goes over here somewhere. The gray, or the brown goes there. The gray is here and the black is here. Now all I have to do is figure out what I'm going to do with all of these extra pieces that nobody sees. What I can do is slide this closer to me, and I can start hiding pieces in here as best as possible. So if I put all of these like this, we can see that I can no longer see any of them if I'm looking from the side. And once we've done this, this will of course all be timed, so we're going to try and do this as quickly as possible in order to finish, and then we'll call time and stop the timer. When we've done so, based on how fast we've done this and the fact that we're correct in our building, we're going to score a certain number of points. So real quick, why don't we just give you a quick example of how that works, and then we can tell you how scoring happens. So here we are ready. Andrea and I are going to give you an example of how this plays. You'll only be able to see from Andrea's perspective, but the first thing that happens is I'm going to grab one of these cards and I'm going to slide it in here. As I do so, Andrea is going to start the timer, and then we're going to play it out really quickly. So here we go. I'm going to drop the card now. All right, black goes right here. Purple is going to go here. Can you see green?
No.
No? All right, good. Brown's going to go right here. I cannot see anything else. That is everything for me, so here you go.
This needs to be hidden somewhere.
Yep, put it down there. What about orange?
Black though, so that can't go there. Let's see, this has to go maybe like this. That can go in underneath.
It doesn't work from, okay. Okay, that goes underneath there.
Hiding the orange.
All right, are you good? I'm good.
Good.
Stop it. All right, so that is how the game is going to play out. And you'll see here that we managed to finish in 29 seconds. So why don't we go back real quick and we'll show you what that means. So Andrea and I finished a round in 29 seconds. We'll say that I was green and Andrea was blue. We would look at the score sheet here and we would find 29 seconds on here. So 21 to 25, no, 26 to 30 is 7 points. So each of us for this round would grab 7 points from these little victory point chits here. We'd pass 7 points to each player, and essentially that would be one round of play. We'd pull all of the pieces back off. We'd take the card and put it back in the pile, or theoretically you could just flip it over for the next set of players. And you would go to the next player in turn order, who would have their own set of tokens, and they would flip one over and decide who they're going to play with. Maybe green player flips over blue, and the same 2 players are playing again. This is one downside of the game, is there is some downtime. At any one point, only 2 players are playing, but that downtime is so minimal, you can tell, it only took us 29 seconds to solve a puzzle, and if any puzzle goes over 2 minutes, you automatically get 0 points. So you're going to continue on in this way, and each player will play 2 rounds with each other player, because the blue player will flip a green token, and the green player will flip a blue token. That would be their 2 rounds. So you're essentially in a 5-player game, going to get to play at least 8 rounds of the game. So Well, and at most 8 rounds of the game. But basically, you're going to go around, you're going to do this, you're going to play out, and whoever manages to best cooperate with each other player is going to get the most victory points, and you're going to want to best cooperate with everyone in order to score the highest amount possible. In addition to this basic set of cards here that I've showed you, and there's a lot of basic cards, of course, each one having 2 sides because you have to have the perspective of 2 different players, and 2 flip sides here that you can use for different puzzles, there is a harder deck of cards here. Harder because it includes another piece, this big red L-shaped piece. Now, you'll also have to use that piece in addition to all of the other pieces you can see there. So you have to hide pieces sometimes. You have to make sure that only the parts visible are here. You have to make sure that there are no overhangs. So you can't ever have a piece sitting like this with nothing underneath it. It has to be covered solid the entire time. So adding that other piece adds a new, host of variety to the game, gives you all of these extra cards, and makes it more difficult for the experienced player. Either way, whoever best cooperates with all of their other teammates throughout the game and gets the most victory points will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is La Boca, a game for anywhere between 3 and 6 players where you get to play with a random teammate each round. I really enjoyed this game. It's a lot of fun. Of course, it's abstract and fillerish. It plays very quickly, but a lot of people have complaints about the downtime, and I don't really get it. There's really not that much downtime. Yes, it's theoretically possible, but for several turns in a row, a maximum of really 5 turns in a row, you don't get to play. Because as the 6th player, you'll always get to flip a token and play with someone else. But those 5 rounds, really, how long can they be? I mean, at a maximum of 2 minutes per round, which very rarely happens, you're looking at 10 minutes of downtime. Yes, that's a lot. But at the more likely 20 to 40 seconds of downtime, not so bad. Even with 6 players, which I have played, it's really not that much downtime, and oftentimes you find yourself getting into the puzzles that other players are trying to solve. So you're looking at it and you're like, you're stupid, why can't you solve that puzzle? I've got it all figured out in my head right now. I could solve it. And that actually may add to the game. If you give it a little bit of that trash talk, you may even find the game to be more fun. So overall, I'd say this is a great abstract teamwork filler game where you're trying to work as well as possible with other players, but hope other players don't work that well in order to score the most points. I would definitely suggest it, and I suggest you take a look. That's La Boca from Z-Man Games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.